You know, he wants to smooth over it all and say, "Oh, but I treated
Hey everybody,
somebody nicely."
hey
And that just
everybody, how
doesn't
you
cut it.
doing? That's
It
actually
is
Elizabeth
important to
Warren
know who this
talking
guy is, because understand
now,
this.
and
This guy is a threat, not because he gets out and shakes hands
this
with
is.
people.
Hold on a
He
second.
has some really
Take a
great
look.
ideas. He is a threat because he's already dropped $400 million in this campaign. And understand this, after his performance tonight, I have no doubt he is about to drop tonight another $100 million in this
Why would his
campaign.
performance lead to more spending?
Oh, come on. In order to try to erase America's memory of what happened on that debate stage.
But that's that moment with you and him. Whatever, who's ever right or wrong, although you were on the offensive there, they hit him on the facts.
Yes.
Fair enough. A vulnerability. That is going to be replayed in every affiliate around the country. That's going to be around tonight on local news. The late news is going to be on our networks and other networks for days, if not weeks.
I hope that is the
So I think you did score there. My question is that a disqualifying fact? Do you think he should not be considered by Democratic voters?
Yes, I think that it is disqualifying. How can we say we want to trade our arrogant billionaire for your arrogant billionaire, especially when this is a man who has treated women so badly? You know, could we please keep in mind how important women have finally, we have been acknowledged to be important in electing our candidates. You just can't leave.
Let's talk about a couple things here, because I'm a student of political strategy, and I think I see it when I see it. I may be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. I was the fighter. You used the word a number of times. I can usually tell where you're going with the language you use. And clearly you were targeting not Bernie, who seems to have a phalanx around his vote right now, very hard to penetrate it on the far left. And you said, no, I made a mistake. I tried to become Bernie or something like Bernie. And you went out for the mainstream. You went after Buttigieg, you went after Amy Klobuchar, you went after Biden, you went after Bloomberg, you went after the whole array of sort of moderate, so-called moderate Democrats, knowing that that's the soft underbelly where you can get more votes. You can go up in the rankings by going after those people rather than trying to, what you tried before unsuccessfully was to poach Bernie votes. I think that was your strategy tonight. Was it?
You are much more strategic than I am around all of this. No, you really are.
You know what you're doing.
But look, I think that this is the question now, electability. Because Democrats want to beat Donald Trump.
Right.
So we need a nominee who can get elected. And what's it going to take to do that? We got to have a nominee who has unshakable values and who has a record of getting things done. Somebody will get out there and fight for it.
Suppose Senator Sanders gets 37, 40% of the delegates, and we're heading into Milwaukee, and somebody else has maybe 30. You're in the low 30s, he's in the high 30s, or somebody else. How do you deny him the nomination in the second ballot without his people rebelling and leaving the party?
Look, Chris, I think that this will play out. We've only heard from 2%.
Hey everybody, that's Elizabeth Warren talking, and the question is, who do you think won the debate? I don't have a clear winner myself. My mother thinks it was Amy Klobuchar. And this is Elizabeth Warren, who scored a lot of points, but in these debates, the person that scored, points that ranked high on the trendmometers, right, of social media, didn't last. Like Kamala Harris scored against Joe Biden, but she's out of the race. So I don't know what difference it's going to make. Watch.
And that means we've got to have somebody who's talking to all parts of the party. It's important.
I'm with you. I am with you on that. I am with you on that because it's got to be a center-left coalition with some Republicans, or you don't win.
And that's what I love best about my wealth tax and my anti-corruption and my increasing Social Security. These are all things everybody can get behind, all the Democrats and Republicans.
And if you ever make $50 million per personal wealth, you will be glad to pay your 2 cents.
I will be glad to pay my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator. I think she won tonight, but thank you. And I don't give those trophies away to everybody. Brian, back to you.
Chris, thank you. Senator, thank you.
But see, that's the thing. MSNBC has a thing about Warren. I think they've always wanted her to win anyway. So Matthew says, well, I think that she won tonight. And the Bernie people are complaining that they're upset because they think MSNBC is elitist. So, and on the other hand, the MSNBC people are saying that Bernie supporters are bros or bullies, which I haven't experienced yet online. I'm not I got my own platforms, right? So I'm not there, but I'm curious to know, and I guess we'll find out as we have people come in. And this is going to be a short live stream because I want to talk about the NFL Combine and another stream. But I just want to find out who you thought won. My mom changed last night. Mom liked Amy Klobuchar. Pete Buttigieg. But this time you said he was too young. Mom, you said.
I think our situation is serious. We need somebody in there like Biden or either Bloomberg.
See, my reason I didn't think anybody won was I just have to say that I don't believe they can stand up to Donald Trump, because I was listening to him and I was thinking about how Trump insulted all the Republicans and he had nicknames for everybody, and he said things on stage, particularly to Ted Cruz, and about his wife, if you remember that, where I thought Cruz at one point was going to come over and hit him on stage. And he wasn't exactly, the only reason he went lighter on Hillary Clinton is because he wanted to get elected and Clinton was female. But what if he gets a male candidate up there? Or what if, right? Or what if he gets Buttigieg? What will he say in that case? So, of candidates can really win. By the way, it's kind of surreal to actually watch your screen, right? But I think all the candidates that have been in this that dropped out because they were single issue people, and they didn't really have a plan. It was like Harris didn't have a concrete plan. Harris' plan was not anything you could articulate that stood out from somebody else's. The only person that had a plan was Andrew Yang, and he actually lasted longer because
They're saying in here that Elizabeth Warren won.
Well, is that, which website is that?
Keith Bolton, ranking of the candidates tonight.
Bolton, who?
His name is Keith Bolton.
That's is that CNN?
Yeah.
Yeah, CNN. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and Joe Biden came in second, Pete Buttigieg third, Amy Klobuchar.
Hey, Barry Lee, how you doing? Biden second, Pete Buttigieg third.
No.
Oh, here. Watch it. Hold on a second, Mom. This is that moment that everyone was talking about. Listen to this. Oops, excuse me.
And the willful ignorance, day by day by day, of admitting what was happening, even as people protested in your own street. You need a different apology.
Senator, thank you. One of the warmer moments between candidates tonight, joining our conversation here in New York, is Robert Gibbs, former White House press secretary under President Obama. Welcome back. It's good to see you again.
Anyway,
as a loyal Democrat,
I didn't want you to necessarily watch TV to watch TV, but let me make my point, and then I'll turn back to what they were saying. But I just don't feel that. I feel everybody. Hey, Barry Lee, who do you think won? And hey, Donut Buzzcut. Hey, from Fort Worth, Texas. Hey, are you a Texas UTA student? Because I was many moons ago. Anyway, who do you think won? Because that's what we're talking about. And my point was that the people who scored points, like for example, remember Harris won because Harris attacked Biden about civil rights, right? Everyone was like, oh, she came out swinging and everything. But beyond that, nothing. Fizzled out. And I was a big supporter of hers. I actually personally know her. Fizzled out, okay? And we have a number of people. Barry Lee said you couldn't watch. You just got home from work. Okay. What did you miss? You missed a good argument fest, I thought. My mom thought they argued. You said they argued too much, Mom?
Yep.
Yeah, she thought they argued too much. And there was a lot of Buttigieg was called out for basically for being young. He went after Amy Klobuchar because she made a singular name mistake. And that was it. She basically hammered back that, hey, you're just a mayor, I'm a senator. And it sounded a little petulant. That's how I read it. Did that make any? I think Mom liked it, but But and then Biden, I thought Biden did better just by staying out of the fray and not getting attacked. But
he said a lot of what he was going to do, and a lot of it I liked. So he's second place. He's first place in my book.
Yeah, she says that Biden.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, so there you go. She says Biden knows what he's doing. Hey, everybody, welcome to Zenny62.
And he's the one that Trump is so scared of.
Yeah, and so Mom is saying that Biden is the one that Trump is scared of. Now, that's the thing. If Donald Trump tried to insult Joe Biden the way he's insulted other opponents, I actually think Joe Biden would go and punch him on stage. I really do. And as classist as that might sound, that just might be the kind of Democrat we need. I have to say it because to me, Donald Trump is the id of America. He really is. He is what a part of the country, generally white, wants to do and say, but is too afraid to do it. Barry Lee says that's true. Trump knows Joe could put him under the table in a debate. Yeah, and he could hammer him, and then Joe would. Sergio says, "Is it live? Is the debate? Debate was over. They have the people talking about it now, and so the debate itself passed. I don't know that there's going to be a replay the way MSNBC works, but the debate is passed. And if I had my wits about me, I would have done the live stream while it was live. But the reason I didn't is because MSNBC has a new and rather stringent copyright and fair use interpretation. And I say that because the law is set, but I don't always agree with the way they interpret it. And so I didn't want to wind up showing a whole screen. And the next thing you know, they say, well, they wouldn't order a takedown, but they would want to have the revenues and everything else. And they in the past haven't done that, but this new staff does things like that. So I thought I'd rather be left alone. And besides, I find that actually this kind of exchange holds people better than in many cases than people actually watching the debate. Of course, I could be wrong. Sergio Barry Lee says, did Bloomberg say anything about his view of healthcare? Well, he said his healthcare plan would be better and more varied, but he didn't. He spent a lot of time, in all honesty, I thought, arguing his case over getting attacked. It got him off his game. And now that I think about it, it really got off his game. And what I'm talking about, there was a series you didn't see where Senator Warren just hammered him about the whole sexual harassment issue. I'd actually got an email from a journalist of the Nation. It was a copy of the actual non-disclosure agreement that supposedly Bloomberg asked his employees to sign. And I looked at it, but I thought, I didn't take the bait and publish it because I'm thinking, well, you know what? This looks like a general NDA that any employer could ask any employee to sign. So how does he know that all the candidates don't have some sort of NDA for their campaign staff, right? I bet they all have it. Barry Lee says, so who would you say was the worst tonight? Bloomberg? Mike got hammered. Yeah, he got straight out hammered to me. And that, but see, if you judge
that wasn't fair.
Mom says it wasn't fair. She's right. That's what I'm saying. If you judge a debate by scoring points, as we've tended to do, in other words, gotchas, like, oh yeah, I got you. Oh, that was funny. Oh, right. Then from that perspective, yeah, Bloomberg got hammered. However, if you score it in terms of how a person presented themselves, I think Bloomberg ranks higher. Yeah, they are, because he has a lot of money and he's been buying the airwaves.
Yeah, and he still didn't look so sad.
Yeah, but also, on that point though, I think the mom is making. I think that Bloomberg did very well at addressing something that Bernie Sanders tried to make him look bad about, which is his wealth. Versus Sanders comes across as disingenuous because he is a millionaire. And so here Sanders is hammering him about being a billionaire and his houses, and what he supposedly owns. And Bloomberg gets one in on him. See, here's we go again with the gotchas and the zingas, right? Which are kind of stupid, but he made a great point. He goes, look, you have 3 houses. And what I take from that is this. Everybody has something wrong with them that somebody else might think is wrong. The question is, at the end of the day, who you think is going to run the country well? Okay. I think Joe Biden would do a great job. I think Bernie Sanders would do a great job. I think Amy Klobuchar would do an okay job.
He'll come with that socialism shit.
And Mom says he'll come with the socialism stuff. And I, as a person who thinks the United States is already a socialist, that doesn't bother me. He just wants to change Medicare to make it Medicaid for all. And in a sense, fine, okay? But considering the fact that highways are paid for by the federal government, farmers are subsidized by the federal government heavily, and I think that's great. Airlines don't get as much subsidy from the federal government as they should.
I get my Social Security check. No.
She's worried that Trump will cut Social Security if he wins. So
if we're on socialism, you don't get no Social Security check.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
I mean, but see what she says is it encapsulates a problem. There's no clear definition for American socialism other than what we already have. And no one talks about that. Like for even the Democratic Socialists on their website have the stupidest definition for socialism I've ever seen in my life.
What is it? Would I still get my Social Security? I need to have some of that stuff answered.
But we already have socialism. And see, we already have it. Socialism in the American...
socialism means everybody gets the same shit.
No, it doesn't really mean that. In the American context, it means that the government pays for a significant amount of services that normally the private sector used to pay for. Hey, Cynthia says, I heard Bloomberg will cut...
They're not going to be able to control the racism.
This lady says... Cynthia says, I heard Bloomberg will cut SSI too, and I will vote for no one who's interested in cuts. See, there you go. And she lives in Sacramento. So she's saying that. So, and Barry Lee says, was Bloomberg tagged by the other candidates who thought he bought his way on the debate stage? Yes, he was. And hey, M3 Kid, what'd you think of the debate? So anyway, I would say,
I'm going to bed.
Okay, good night. Bloomberg didn't fare as well as he could have, all right? And he just didn't. Hey, here's something from Bloomberg right now. You take a look at this, folks. See, here we go.
I believe in democratic socialism for working people, not billionaires, health care for all, educational opportunity for all, creating a government that works for all.
What a wonderful country we have. The best known socialist in the country happens to be a millionaire with 3 houses. What I miss here?
Well, you missed that I work in Washington, house watch.
That's the first problem.
Live in Burlington, house crew.
That's good.
And like thousands of other Vermonters, I do have a summer camp. Forgive me for that. Where is your home? Which tax haven?
New York City, thank you very much. And I pay all my taxes.
That was a good one.
These are members of the same team. It's good to see everybody getting along as they did tonight in Las Vegas. With us here in New York as we enter our second hour of coverage, A.B. Stoddard, Associate Editor, columnist for Real Clear Politics, Jason Johnson, Politics Editor at The Root, Professor at Morgan State University, David Plouffe, Campaign Manager for Barack Obama in 08, and Joy Reid, host of AM Joy, weekends, 10 a.m. on this network. In the spin room in Las Vegas tonight, our own Chris Matthews. In Austin, Texas, Victoria DeFrancesco Soto, professor at the LBJ School of Public Affairs at the University of Texas. And at the big board tonight, our national political correspondent, Steve Kornacki.
Oh, the California primary is March 24th.
Watch the coverage.
March 24th.
I thought it was a great night for Bernie Sanders. I thought it was a great night for Donald Trump. I thought it was a terrible night for the Democrats. And I don't
I
think
agree.
Bloomberg's bad night is going to matter, given the amount of money he's spending on the ground, given the fact that a lot of voters who are going to matter later are not really watching debates. They have his presence on Facebook. And on the ground, anecdotally, I cannot believe what I'm hearing about the money he's spending in all the right places with food and other things, meetings, not just those digital ads on social media. So I think he will still be in very strong stead throughout the very consequential month of March. Tonight was the night to knock down Bernie, and Democrats didn't do it. Pete Buttigieg tried a few minutes, but not effectively enough.
Jason, it's going to be argued capitalism didn't have a great outing tonight.
Yeah, apparently, but Bernie's still a millionaire. Isn't it amazing? America's biggest socialist is a millionaire. This is a thing. You can't take
See?
out Bernie Sanders. You're not
That's the kind of socialism he's right.
He's running for the nomination.
That's what I was trying to tell Mom. Socialism in the American context does not mean what you're thinking. And the Democratic Socialists are all over the place. The Democratic Socialists don't even have a concrete definition for socialism. Think about that.
It's some of his weaknesses in communicating his message, which we've seen before. His inability to do anything other than gaslight America about some of the behavior of his own supporters when it comes to unions and organizations that don't fall in line with what he wants. And I think as far as Mike Bloomberg goes, look, it's not that he just did poorly tonight, because I think he did poorly. He's spending a ton of money. He's got 26 offices that he just opened in Texas. He's probably going to win in North Carolina. He's probably going to win in some of these southern states. But he had a chance tonight to add personal charisma and enthusiasm above and beyond just spending money, and that he did not do. There was nothing charming or enthusiastic about Mike Bloomberg tonight, and I don't think he gained any support that he's not going to have.
Now, folks, Barry Lee just wrote here. He says, he says, I really don't think Bloomberg is wasting his money.
This is about how it connects to actually.
I don't see him winning the nomination because of his late entry into the race. Sergio asks, who do I think won the Hispanic vote? I think the Hispanic vote is a toss-up. I think Buttigieg scored better because he's bilingual. We'll see how that comes out. But Nevada voters tend to be more traditional in terms of the Democratic choices. However, this year they have a huge Democratic sentiment turnout, which I would surmise represents a lot of younger voters. So I'm going to say, I'm going to stick to my guns in terms of who turns out in the end. I'm going to say that I think traditionally it'd be Biden, then Warren, and Klobuchar.
So I think
in that order. Yeah.
Nobody laid a glove on Sanders, really. He's one of the reasons he's a good debater.
Well, Sanders. I'm sorry, Sanders. Because Sanders scores better with Sanders, Biden, Klobuchar, and Warren. In there.
We'll know soon what it means from a vote standpoint. And I think Mayor Pete showed some strategic, sense of, I've got a problem. For me to become the main alternative to Sanders, I have to take some vote for Amy Klobuchar. I've got to go after Bloomberg. So that was interesting. I think he was the most strategic. But at the end of the day, this election is accelerating and happening before our very eyes. So right now, so with Bloomberg, I think that is the question. Does the money overcome? Right. I wasn't surprised by his performance. He hasn't debated in 10 years. He's rusty as all get out. And he hops out there. And again, he's never loved this part of politics. He kind of endures it. And you could see that tonight. But there's another debate next week. He better improve the performance, because even with all that money, because Bloomberg's done a great job of going from 0 to 15. That means nothing. Right. Can he go from 15 to 30? And he's not going to get there with debate performances like that.
Yeah, Barry Lee asks, he says, this election primary is first and foremost about who can beat the traitor-in-chief. Well, I would call her the insulter-in-chief. And, listen to this.
In the sense that he has never really taken incoming. I think that the other candidates have been afraid to attack him before, both because it then stirs his supporters against you. And I think a lot of people want to hold his supporters in abeyance in case they need them at the convention, right? They want to be able to bring those supporters back in. So people have not really gone after him in the previous debates. This time, he faced the first real challenges on things that, in the journalism world, we talk about a lot. The supporters is a real issue. And I'm surprised that nobody brought up the fact that some of the issues are on his staff. They're not just, there are people that are, we just saw his national press secretary go out on television and say that it's birtherism to ask about his health records. Like, this is not just sort of anonymous supporters from, Vladivostok that are doing it. It's a thing, right? So I think that he had, the first time he was really challenged as to, will the message that he has resonate on a stage with Donald Trump? The person who I think presented the strongest alternative to that was Elizabeth Warren. Warren went in with a very singular mission: get Bloomberg. She finally had the kind of billionaire right out of kind of the textbook of Elizabeth Warren's mission in life.
I disagree with her because Bloomberg handed her that. I mean, the whole issue about his NDAs, I got email. He basically handed Warren a paddle and said, beat me with it. And she says, okay. And she did it,
was a Bernie Sanders supporter in 2016. Who's now a Warren supporter, texted me, what Elizabeth Warren needs to break away from Bernie Sanders is a meme. She needed a meme. Well, she got a meme tonight. People were distributing ether, which is for people who like hip hop. I mean, she laid out Michael Bloomberg, and that will be a meme. And for people who haven't been paying that much attention to her, they're going to pay attention to her after tonight.
Hey, Professor, in what world, Bernie Sanders had a heart attack in October. He talked about it for him rather forthrightly tonight. Is it because of the era we're in, because of the president we have, who made an unscheduled trip out to the Army Medical Center on a rando Saturday morning, and that's pretty much all we heard about it, that gives a Bernie Sanders cover, and there is seemingly very little outrage that he is not going to share his health records?
Well, part of it, Brian, is the number of folks who are in their mid to late 70s who are running that in a sense has normalized the fact that you have such older folks who are vying for the presidency, which in theory could extend out 8 years. So I think in this warped world, that's normal. The other part of it, and I think where we get that hanging on to Bernie, is that brand that he built in 2016. And we know from social psychology that when somebody has already grasped on to a positive vision of someone, they share positive affect with that brand. Be it a car, be it a brand of food, in this case, a political candidate, that other information that might detract from that brand is going to be ignored. So in the case of age, and really having to take the matter of age seriously, be it with Bernie Sanders, be it with Joe Biden, be it with Mike Bloomberg, folks who are in that camp are going to discard it. So I think that is the power with the Bernie supporters, is their brand is so deep that they're going to deflect away any information that's contradictory.
But not only that, though, what she said reminded me of the exchange between Sanders and Warren and Bloomberg, and Warren is just
Brian,
attacking.
the search goes on for the great moderate hero.
Hamming.
I don't see the person tonight.
Hold that thought. Hold that
it's
thought.
very tough to see it in Bloomberg tonight as a great political leader, someone who will inspire you. I didn't see that tonight. It may come next week. It may be there somewhere. But Democrats fall in love. I don't think you can, as Nixon once said to Pat Buchanan, if you hear about a Stop X movement, bet on X. And they have 4 or 5 candidates, each about 15, barely making the threshold, and one with 30 plus guys could eventually win. And I thought it was so interesting tonight that all 6 of the candidates, I think it was David Plouffe, who said they all agreed. They all agreed that Bernie's the leader and Bernie will be the leader if something doesn't stop him. And they need to go for somebody. I'm beginning to think over the past week or so it's probably Elizabeth Warren. They have to find somebody who can coalesce the party's left flank and also its center-left flank, and she could do it. By the way, the interesting thing she did tonight, I'll say it again, she did not go after Bernie votes tonight. They're impenetrable. That's a phalanx around him. What she did tonight was totally different than what she's done in the past. She went after the moderates. She went after Buttigieg and Amy and Biden, and she went after Bloomberg, some potential support there. She knows that for her to catch Bernie, she has to move into the middle and grab the middle. That's where I said it to her. She didn't deny it. That's what she's up to. Her strategy now is to become the leading moderate alternative to Bernie. And that's going to be interesting because for so many months she ran as his sort of leftward best friend. And that didn't work. He took all those votes back. And now I think she's trying a totally different direction. And it'll be fascinating if you can change strategy that dramatically and win. I think she may be the one person who can do it.
All right, Chris Matthews, thank you.
The only thing the problem I have with Warren is this shrillness that she has in her delivery, and she gets revved up And it's just a style issue. I just wish she'd clip it a little bit, because she goes from making great points, but then her voice gets to this little uptick, and it's kind of like, okay, it goes to whining rather than screaming, or it goes from whining and screaming where she was talking, all right? And
him mocking this conversation. I think that train is
I seriously doubt I'm the only person who has that issue, okay? And I'm sorry, a lot of politics is who you find the most appealing and who doesn't annoy you. And I find her annoying at times, just to listen to. I just have to say it that way. If she could just clip her words a little bit and stop talking and stop sounding like a cocker spaniel, I'd be okay. You know, just saying.
This is kind of too late.
Joseph Binsman says
really important
Matthew's argument that will reveal her to be a flip-flopper. If that's how she's playing it, that won't cut it. I don't think she's a flip-flopper. I haven't said that. But she's an attacker. And the problem with a person who has an attack mentality is you can get so locked on trying to find the gotcha that you wind up compromising your own principles. You wind up forgetting what your own message is. And she runs the risk of doing that. She hasn't done it yet. She came close. And if somebody gets a hold of any information about how she treats her staff, about how she interacts with men on her staff, and it happens to be negative, forget it. Okay, she's basically set herself up, because I have a theory. In other words, if you set somebody else up as being the boogie person, you're also setting yourself up to be the boogie person, because you can't then be the person you say the other person is. Okay? Otherwise, someone says, "Oh, see, you're the same way too." So she's got to be careful with that holier than thou thing. Joseph Binsman says, "No, you didn't say that. That's what I'm saying." Matthews for the reveals. Anyway,
I'm actually less concerned about the lack of
so anyway,
personal health than I am about the lack
so
of transparency on how to pay for his health care.
Are you trying to unstick something? Oh, hold on a second. I just got to fix something for my mom here. I'm not going anywhere. Just a matter of an iPad issue here. Hold on a second. All right. You just want to unstick it?
This side over here.
You want this what?
I just want one.
Okay, here. All right, okay.
The new XC90 plug-in hybrid electric. XC90 recharged.
Oh, so you slide things. That's
You don't know your
all.
numbers. You don't know your business. I learned this the hard way with my first company, so I created NetSuite, the world's #1 cloud business system. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/grow.
Anyway, let me go plug it in.
When a threat from fire and water damage is at its biggest, hand the cleanup over to the team that stays with you until even the smallest detail is taken care of. 1-800-SERVPRO, the #1 choice in commercial cleanup and restoration.
Day 1, 50 Peloton rises off the year. Here we go. Halfway there, just hit a 5-day streak.
He did not wake up thinking over today, Peloton.
It's just another meeting.
Come on.
You should be
Hold on. I'm live. Got to get back to that. So, okay. Hold on, folks. Got to fix this.
Add toilet paper to the shopping list. Oh, and camel milk.
iPad issues.
Thanks, guys. I'll take it from here.
No, I'm just had to restart
As a
it.
doctor, I agree with
So.
CDC guidance. I recommend topical pain relievers first, like Salonpas Patch Large. It's powerful, FDA approved to relieve moderate pain, yet not addictive, and gentle on the body. Salonpas, it's good medicine.
I'm gonna go. You go back.
Here. I restarted it. Okay. Anyway, Harold Kumar says, would be nice to see Warren as nominee. It would be. Dusbus says, let's choose to set yourself up. Yeah. John O'Connor says, which Democratic candidate do you think has the best chance to defeat Trump? Biden. Joseph Ben says Gabbard is horrible. Please no. Wait a minute, I like Tulsi. She granted me an interview without any crap. Plus, she's hot. Okay.
Hi, we're Warren Parker, and I got
She's hot.
It's about being healthier.
And
Not the healthier.
hey,
It's about
just have to tell you, look, I have a bias. Now, I didn't say she was the best candidate. I just said I like her because she granted me an interview. I mean, that's just, hey, it's the way it works sometimes, all right?
Not just fills you.
It's in fact her. And then Tulsi's supporters are really neat. And
It's Daily Harvest.
this is my
dailyharvest.com.
see?
Success begins with certainty.
Hold on a
Knowing
second.
For certain, your logo will look perfect.
By pursuing that, it could lead us down a very dangerous
Try that again.
calls for impeachment of President Trump is the song. I think our country is being torn apart. And by pursuing that, it could lead us down a very dangerous path. I think it's most important for us to defeat Donald Trump in 2020 with the American people voting him out of office. That's why I'm running. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. So hey, I asked, and not only that, see, I got I said, hey, look, I just need a few seconds. She gave me a few seconds. That was it. Here's Bloomberg. Oh, actually, there was a clip. My point is, she's very personable. I think very militaristic. Tulsi Gabbard is a strong woman. Okay. And as I think about it, some people may be put off by that. I certainly have never been in my entire life. I grew up with a mom who's like that. And I have girlfriends who are like that. Okay. All my girlfriends have been like that. I've never had a girlfriend who wasn't. So, but there are some people who are really put off by that. Here is how the race is looking. I think you have to see this, folks. This was a good chart that I'm freezing it for you right now for Steve that Steve Kornacki just put up here a few seconds ago. So I'm freezing it to come back right now and have a look at this. Okay, here it is, and let me turn up the volume. And then, yeah, there we go.
This race has developed where we have seen some movement in the last couple of days, and I want to show you that and what it could mean going forward. So you see nationally here, this was the NPR NewsHour poll this week. Nationally, Sanders in the lead there by double digits. Bloomberg suddenly moving up, everybody else behind there. One of the fault lines we've been talking about has been age. This has been significant all campaign. If you go under 45 years old and then 45 plus, it's like two different universes in the Democratic Party. So here you see Sanders. This is after that New Hampshire win. He has been cleaning up here under 45 the entire campaign, but now his support there, you can see it has moved to over 50% in this poll, 54 to 16. Again, over 45, under 45. This is like half the party on one side, half the party on the other side. And you see Sanders there with under 45, 54%, an outright majority. Now look at the other world here, 45 plus. Look at this. When I say we've seen some change, it's right here. These two, Bloomberg, Biden. You see Sanders a distant third there with 13%. All year, the flip side, all campaign, I should say, the flip side of Sanders' success under 45 has been Biden's dominance over 45. Not anymore. That's where Bloomberg has made his big gain in this thing. 27% here. He's actually passed Joe Biden over 45. And again, Sanders sitting back there at 13%. So you've seen some significant movement there. That's a key ingredient for Bloomberg. Another one, race. Look at the difference here between white Democrats and black Democrats. Among white Democrats, you see here a double-digit advantage for Sanders. You see Bloomberg getting some traction here. Again, older white voters in particular. And you see everybody else. Now take a look at black voters, because for a year now we have been saying Joe Biden cleaning up among the black vote. Take a look at this. 31-28. Biden still leads, but this is basically as close as I've seen it in a national poll. 31% for Biden among black voters, 28% for Sanders. And you see the only other candidate in double digits here, Michael Bloomberg, with 16%. So you see Sanders has climbed a little bit with black voters to get to the high 20s. Bloomberg has come from 0 to 16, and all of it has come from Joe Biden, who we'd seen in polls for pretty much a year, running in the high 40s, 50%, sometimes even over 50% with black voters. And remember, we are starting to get Nevada, South Carolina, beyond states with significant black populations. 1 out of 4 votes cast across all these Democratic primaries will end up coming from black voters. So this is significant. And the final significant number here, I think, is as you look at these candidates and their ability potentially to build larger bandwagons, to expand their coalitions, how much goodwill do they each have to tap into potentially among Democrats? That's what this question gets at. This is the favorable, unfavorable score among Democrats for all these candidates. I think this is noteworthy. Bernie Sanders, we talk about him a lot as a factional candidate, somebody with a very clear ideological group of supporters who maybe is a little different from the rest of the party, but he has a stronger favorable score than any other Democratic candidate. And by the way, look at the bottom of this list here. It's Michael Bloomberg, at least right now,
14.
with the lowest score there, only plus 14.
Not favorable.
Steve, thanks. Let's go around the horn, including our guest standing by in Texas, Joy Reid. What do you make of all that?
Well, I mean, there is a clear generational divide among younger white and voters of color who really very much, I mean, for a lot of them, you know, you were too successful because Barack Obama is the floor. And for them, the idea that we're going to, you know, follow Donald Trump, who's fundamentally changing the country for the much, much worse, that the idea to fix that is to go to sort of a moderate, sort of a mushy moderate candidate is just unacceptable to a lot of young voters. They're saying flip the tables, that they don't feel that they have a future in this country and be able to be a Michael Bloomberg because they feel that they're completely locked out. We underestimate the rage and the anger that working class people of all races, younger people feel about income inequality, about the extreme, you know, distance between a Michael Bloomberg and them, even a Bernie Sanders and them. They don't even think they're ever going to get there. And so they really do not want to have a John Kerry or a Hillary Clinton style candidate. They're just not going to accept it. And then you have older voters who just see Donald Trump as this existential threat to their kids, to their grandkids. They say he just has to go. And they almost don't care who it is. They just get him out. And these two generations are not having the same conversation about this election at all.
And that's why we're going to lose.
To unite these two generations, and I don't know who can do it. I do think Warren has the biggest claim on it because she does sort of speak to the Bernie wing and also to the moderate wing, but I don't see anybody else that can do it.
And folks, I just have to say that's why I think that beating Donald Trump is harder this time around, because this presents one side of the country, and as much as we may not like it, there are people who think Donald Trump should be reelected. And the question is why? That aside, they're out there. And if you don't have a candidate, look what happened with Hillary. Okay, Bernie Sanders didn't beat Hillary Clinton. Hillary got the nomination. And then,
Donald
you know,
Trump has run the country into bankruptcy. He'll run the country into...
I agree with you, but what I'm telling you, but what I'm explaining is realistic.
Start saying that we won't have no United States if we keep.
I agree with you, but we live in a state. We live in Georgia. You know how people are here. Some. I'm only pointing out a fact, and I'm saying that we need a candidate that can be compelling enough. And the problem with Sanders is I don't see him, and I hope I'm wrong. I don't see him capturing that.
What your mother
okay.
Thinks. That sign they had up there tonight. The people are going to get rid of Trump. Period.
But see, the thing about it is the last time I heard that.
To vote anybody but Trump.
Yeah, but the last time I heard that, like 10% of black folks sat on the sidelines. Everybody said they're going to vote. And a lot of people lied.
They're going to vote this time.
My mom has better faith than I do. I don't. I don't think.
They don't want the end of this. We're not going to have the United States if we keep Trump. There will be no United States of America. Period. Somebody on the damn page needs to start saying that. We are not going to have a country. It will be gone. The Russians will take over. You can see it coming.
That already happened.
Jesus Christ.
But Mom, I'm on live, okay?
Huh?
I'm on live.
I don't care whether you are. This is the truth.
I know,
Trump
but I'm saying.
Horrid.
I'm saying.
And there's no I'm saying in it. Instead of saying I'm saying, get in there and fight too. Fuck.
So anyway, my point is that we live in a state, Georgia, where it's a red state, and so like this guy says, what has Trump done to the country? So yeah.
Riverdale is not red; it's blue.
No, I'm talking about the whole state of Georgia.
I'm talking about there's a lot of blacks here that's Democrats.
Right, around Atlanta.
Our mayor is a Democrat.
Right, around Atlanta.
This ain't no fucking red state.
This state went mostly Republican the last election, Mom.
No,
and that's the problem.
This time, a lot of people in Georgia understand democracy.
We have a Republican governor that got in because of voter suppression.
No, he got in because they didn't kick his ass like they supposed to. It's voter suppression. Now they know.
Anyway, you can see the point.
Stacey Abrams understands it. Lots of us understand it. They ain't gonna win, okay? Ain't no way fucking he gonna win.
Anyway, my whole point is you can see, okay? So Joseph Bensman is right. It all comes down to voter turnout in November. We need a historic turnout, and yeah, we do. We do. But what I'm saying is that we don't have a Barack Obama, and Obama talked for everybody, and the Democratic Party.
You'll get it together.
You don't want to be on camera, right?
No.
Okay. The Democratic Party. I didn't know. The Democratic Party. Cynthia says, "I agree with your mom. I don't think we Dems fight enough. Speak out. We don't. No, we don't. And we get a candidate that reflects it. Our candidates are weak. Okay.
Will be gone.
The candidates are weak.
How to do it. I'm going to help.
In Elvis says Bernie has some Obama skills. I don't know. Maybe if Warren is a better bet than I realize. I don't know. Nick Head says, Joseph, if you look at Iowa and New Hampshire, the voter turnout is the same. And then the other thing that I have like on a number of occasions, I've had African Americans tell me that they have the right not to vote. And that was last year. And I have a guy on video saying that to me who worked for DirecTV. And I said, are you crazy? This is what we get now. So the last election.
I don't want anybody.
All right.
No doubt. We ain't gonna win.
I'm being realistic. I am being realistic. There is that possibility.
That's real estate my ass. You need to be, instead of saying that, say we're gonna win, and if not, we're gonna make them win.
I don't have any faith in the party. Well, Joseph Business says,
otherwise you ain't gonna have
only in Iowa, New Hampshire.
Get out there and start working.
Don't Buzzcut says the people of Georgia are smart. They knew that Trump was bad for the country, but if someone wants to take their guns in the state, Georgia,
they didn't even know they had elected Trump. Yeah. That's how bad Russia fucked up.
And so Harold Kumar says, honestly, we need Bernie. We need socialism in this country. Capitalism must die. Cynthia says, if on my ballot it's Trump and Pennywise gets my vote. If you didn't know, folks, Pennywise is the character creature from It. Elvis Lennon says, is it safe to say that Bernie is preferred by minorities? No, actually, wait, when you say minorities, what minorities do you mean? Because you mean black, white, Asian, Hispanic, which minority? Because you can't lump everybody together. So when you might say minorities, Elvis, which minority do you mean? Just a question. And let's see here. Scott Hockenberry says, Pete is right about one thing. He is no Obama. What happened last time he was an Obama? What happened then? Okay. So Elvis, I'm interested to find out what you're, if you can really. Imkit says, that socialism is going to end the country. Joseph Bezos says his liking is growing among many minorities right now. Which minorities? So when you say minorities, what do you mean?
Mexicans,
okay. Or I want them to define it, not you. I want them to define it. Okay, because some people say, all right, Elvis says, I guess, yeah, everyone but whites. Okay. I think among Latinos, Buttigieg is scoring better than he was, but Biden is still on top. Biden is still on top with African Americans by far. And Donut Buzzkiss says, I'm in that if Georgia will vote for the person that is pro-gun. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, by the way, here's Klobuchar right here. Okay.
Got a lot richer. That is Exhibit A, and I can tell you the hardworking people in Nevada were not in that room.
We are back. Let's talk about Donald Trump then, A.B. Stoddard. Take the senator's hint.
Well, I think that the best moment that Mike Bloomberg had was his first moment when he basically said, I've made a lot of money and I'm giving a lot away to the Democratic Party, and I intend to spend it to beat Donald Trump, and I think that's the best gift I can give my children. And people in the crowd got really excited because, back to the fear-driven voter, they want to get rid of Donald Trump. And again, the last 2 weeks have been among the most horrifying in the entire Trump presidency. There was more than enough for the candidates to work with, and the centering, unifying thing that Klobuchar finished with in her closing remarks is the drive to replace Donald Trump. I just don't think the candidates spent enough time on it.
Nope.
I don't think they articulated why these last 10 days have been such a dramatic illustration of the threat of a second Trump term. If he's doing this now and he's facing re-election. So I just think that that's something they need to keep in mind for the next debate, which is just days away.
David Bluff, the problem with these debates is you have these media questioners. You can't just say what you want to say. So much has been made of this process being about purity testing.
Oh, Joseph Amandura says,
to drive these conversations.
I wrote earlier, hold on a
in
second,
the questions
folks.
we have honed down.
Joseph Amandura says, I wrote earlier besides the stop it. Did you rewrote a blog on Oakland News Now? Oh, I'd like to see it anyway. Joseph Amandura says, I wrote earlier, besides the stop and frisk policy Bloomberg had, why does it bother anyone he's a billionaire if he's earned it? It's a narrative that's being pushed by the far left and millionaire Bernie. The reason why billionaires are considered bad has to do with from the housing costs and how billionaire-driven, funded, like I hope my company becomes, tech companies, have driven up the cost of living on both coasts. And then on top of that, we have a society that because of the internet, it's very easy, if you know the right way to do it, to strike a match, to reach billions in seconds, millions, not billions in seconds, something that wasn't possible 30 years ago. And you can build a business off that quickly. So it creates a scale of reach, and that some people have been able to translate into dollars in terms of the company value, and many people find it intimidating. But then also there's the fact that, and the chart showed this, that basically 4 people, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and no, actually that's enough. Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and Jeff Bezos alone have more wealth than 50% of the country. Okay, so that right there is enough to scare a lot of people. All right, and that's why you have people like Senator Warren who thought they want to not so much soak the rich, we want to soak the billionaires because of this outsized imbalance of wealth. Okay, and Joe Lopez says socialism already exists in the U.S. Yeah, that's what I'm saying to my mom. Trump's tax cuts for the rich can be considered socialism. We have a number of examples of socialism, not just tax cuts for the rich. We have socialism every time a developer considers building in one city versus another, and then the other city, take the Raiders, they got a $750 million subsidy from the state of Nevada through Clark County to build that stadium. Okay, they say that's hotel money and tourist money, but no. If that tourist money cannot pay for that bond, do you know who winds up paying the difference? The households in Clark County that pay property taxes do through the general fund. So it's true public money on the backs of the taxpayers. What is that but corporate socialism for sports, right? And that's what that is. I like it or not. I happen to prefer such subsidies myself because I know what to do with them, how to turn them into jobs, but it is what it is. And that's just a fact. So we have tons of examples of socialism in this country. Again, airports, how they're ran, who they're ran by, how they're built. Other examples? Oh, there's so many examples. Are power systems and lighting. I can go on and on and on. So the idea that we're going to create this suddenly socialist America is nonsensical. Like I said before, if you read the website of the Democratic Socialists of America, they can't even describe what socialism is. They're all over the place. Like they say, one part of their definition had to do with Nicaragua and its education system under the Somoza and how, but I said, wait a minute. If you read that, all they did was they increased their education spending. So you're telling me that is an example of socialism? We can already do that in the United States. So a lot of what they say is really nonsensical. And no one's pointing that out. I'll start pointing that out. Me. Okay. Folks, it's 12:20. I'll be back later to do a short live stream on the Combine next week. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube. I'll get your comments real quick before I go out. Elvis says Bloomy thinks he can buy it for sure. Scott Hockenberry says, you're right, Joseph Bensman. Bloomberg didn't defend himself enough. And Bensman also adds, Bloomberg was unprepared and serves him right for not entering the race a year ago. And then he follows, Joseph Bensman does, that Social Security, Medicaid, subsidized housing, and so on, socialism in America. Exactly. And then Lopez adds, they try to pin the communist word on Bernie when he believes in a mixed economy. We have a mixed economy. Hey, there's one book I want everybody to get. It is called Capitalism, Socialism, and Democracy by Joseph Schumpeter. It is a classic read in economics courses in America, or at least it should have been something you read, but please read it. If you have a chance, please read it. Hey, Scott, thank you for the investment very much, and I really appreciate that. And MKid says, Joseph, he definitely wasn't. He's so full of himself, he didn't think he needed to. Hey, Donis, you're just getting here, man. I'm signing off. Elvis Lennon says, ABC, anybody but Trump. He means anybody but Trump, which is ABT. I think my mom would agree with you 1,000,000,000% there. And Donis says, who's my picks for president? I'm still not decided. To me, Obama was the gold standard, and I have not heard anybody in this entire race, in this entire season, even come close to delivering the kind of message that Senator Obama did when he was running and became President Obama. And yet Obama's right there. They can ask him for advice. But it doesn't seem like if they are seeking his advice, it's hitting home. You need one message for everybody. You don't need to go on these things where you're trying to find these zingers, because I'm telling you, everybody that has participated in these debates and done these zingers, they didn't last long. Just saying. And, maybe out of spite, I'll just go ahead and support Tulsi Gabbard anyway, because I think she's cool. Okay. And Joseph says, sounds like a good read things. And Joseph Armendura says, the infighting with the Democrats looks very petty. If all the candidates really cared, they would form a coalition and agree on a ticket to defeat Trump. But it looks like that would never happen. And Scott Hockenberry adds, Biden is trying to take credit for everything Obama did as president. Yeah, well, that's what politicians do. I agree. He is trying. And yeah. Oh, well. Hey, we could talk forever, but it's almost an hour. In fact, it is 58 minutes and 42 seconds for 1 hour. I'm tempted to just let the clock run for a bit. And oh, by the way, Elvis Lennon says, right, Scott, and Obama inherited a recession. Yes. And look, Obama inherited a recession. And basically, if you think about it, he established a form of socialism to dig us out of it, right? And I think that's going to be needed again to dig us out of this imbalance we have in the economy. I will tell you something. Another book everybody should read is called The Great Powers. And it's a book that came out in 1979. I have in my cupboard at home in Oakland. And it talked about the history of great power countries. But it also pointed out that countries that declined as powers had enormous imbalances of wealth between the rich and the poor. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So maybe this whole thing about socialism, that's the wrong word. But increasing the mix, I think, is a better one. We need to have one word that describes that better. We need to find it because socialism ain't quite cutting it. And two wars, yeah. Captain of a Starship says, my thinking was without Biden or Tulsi, we will get Trump. That's my fear. And, we need to get our act together before it gets to that point. Tonight should have been a conversation, should have been a referendum about Trump. But instead, it was a referendum about how the Democrats don't seem to have a unified message and they're tearing each other apart. That was the wrong way to go. All right, everybody. Subscribe to Zenny62. And thanks a lot if you haven't done so before. And again, I'll be back to talk Combine in a little bit.